Hey guys, we are live. This is Jennifer with the Shooter's Mindset, and we have our co-host here, Greg Cannon. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Good. And this is episode 327 with the Tucker Schmidt. How's it going, Tucker?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. We were just talking that it was like a year ago that we were all at a match and shot together and stayed in the house together, and there was snow on the ground, and yeah, good times. I made a snow angel, but
Yeah, I'm not in the snow. I live in Florida, so I don't know. I don't acclimate well to that weather.
that's why I bonded with all of y'all Florida boys so well, because y'all all whined about it just as much as I did. Because I hate the cold weather.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the boat. I used to be tough. I lived in New Mexico for about 6 or 7 years, where it actually got really cold, and I thought I was tough when I came back here, but when I go back out there, I'm frozen. I got soft.
Got soft.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody that is unfamiliar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into competitive shooting and PRS and all.
I actually just ended up going to a range with a guy I was actually camping with. He kind of invited me to an IDPA match, and kind of started there, and kind of went through all the sports, USPSA, 3-gun, and then finally found PRS not too long ago, a couple years or so. And just kind of got hooked, kind of like happens to everybody. I'm a competitive person, used to play baseball, and I wakeboarded professionally for a few years when I was a young fella. And I've just been digging it, man, ever since.
That's awesome. You've kind of evolved through all of the sports. So what are you actually competing in right now?
I still shoot all three. I still travel pretty much for all of them. Still travel for 3-gun a little bit. It's kind of died down a little bit over the years, but there's still those same core matches that still sell out and have a waiting list. So I still compete in 3-gun and shoot a lot of USPSA and a lot of PRS as well.
That's awesome. You do a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one, 3-gun or precision rifle, which one would you choose?
I could. That's tough. If I could choose one, I'd probably just be shooting one. I like both. I like the action and the high action, fast pace 3-gun. And then PRS is a little more cerebral, a lot more thinking involved, and with movement and the same kind of skills required. It's just kind of set in a different way. I do like them both, and I don't know. I still love to compete in both. Really, I just like to shoot, and I like the friends, the people you meet, and it'd be tough just to pick kind of one.
Can't pick one. Got to have them both.
Yeah.
Hey, my wallet would not let me do both.
Yeah, that's the problem a lot of people have. It is not a cheap game. You can definitely get through them somewhat on a budget, but to compete at a high level and try to get the gear everybody's using, it's not very inexpensive to start. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I used to think that like USPSA, I'm like, oh, this is kind of it. Because I went USPSA, then 3-gun, and then precision rifle. And, I was like, man, USPSA is kind of expensive. This is like a couple hundred rounds of 9mm at a time. Ooh, wow. And then it was like 3-gun, and that was really expensive. I had to buy 3 guns. One of them cost almost $1,000. And then got into precision rifle, and it's just like, wow.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? So I mean, you can easily ran on an open gun and pistol too. You know what I mean? So I think people ask like, what's the cheapest one to get into? I mean, you can get into all of them for cheap, but none of them are really inexpensive. But if you just want to play and participate and kind of start somewhere, that's definitely a feasible goal for a light budget.
Yeah, and it's funny for me. The open gun was always a want. Heck, an all steel gun was always a want in USPSA, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 for a gun. Now it's like, oh hey there, $8,000 rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of puts it in perspective. The
Yeah.
ammo too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Especially now trying to find stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9mm is probably the most expensive round right now we shoot.
I know. I've said it a couple times. I have never been so happy that my favorite 22 ammo is Lapua Center X.
Right.
It's like normal price of $100 to $150 a brick.
Right.
That hasn't inflated much, and I could still find that for sale.
Yeah, I think anything you can find right now is kind of a blessing. Hopefully, you know, your herd numbers, a year, 2 years, 3 years of, of this, if it doesn't get worse. And let's just hope that for all of us that whole deal gets kind of handled sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it moves on. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Tired of not being able to find stuff.
Yeah. I mean, when you want to find, you got to search. Not easy. It may take a few days.
Days.
Yeah, weeks, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm about to say, I've been trying to find bullets for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah. Yeah, they pop up from time to time, but yeah, they're not easy to find.
So before we get too far into things, who saw the results from Frontline over the weekend?
I did.
I identify as I did not see them.
You identify as you did not see them. But you really, really hope that Allison Zane shoots the AG Cup next year, right?
She's in it.
Is she?
I mean, the girl's killing it. I mean, it's tough for a grown man of any caliber to get whooped on by a 15-year-old female, but she's definitely holding her own, man. She's killing it. So it'd be exciting to see what she does.
So for anybody that doesn't know, she won first place at another Pro Series match. That's her second overall win. So
At 15.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I can't wait to see what she has to bring over the years. Like, if she keeps on this track, it's just going to be, she's just going to own it.
Yeah, she's already doing that. It's going to be I'm sure a lot of people are hoping she goes off to college here soon because she is just hurting feelings.
I said, I think all the grown men are hoping that she finds a boyfriend.
There's another distraction, right?
Yeah, yeah, something to distract her. So you didn't shoot Frontline this year, huh?
No, I didn't. March is pretty much. I'm going to Phoenix for a 3-gun match in a couple of weeks. I'm shooting Altus and I think War on the other side of that. So I'm pretty slammed for the next 2 months. I figured I'd hang out here with the family for the rest of February, and then it kind of gets crazy in March.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say
I don't have ammo, so
I try to stay balanced, but it's not. So I stay here for a little while and trying to relax for a little bit longer before it gets crazy.
yeah, it's tough to do that. Do you have a lot of matches planned this year?
Yeah, every year. I mean, between the 3 sports, luckily I'm pretty flexible on the business end, so I can kind of travel here and there, but I try not to be out of town. I try to do like every other week is kind of how I try to do it, but sometimes they run together, summer months and then this time of year, they kind of run together. But yeah, I mean, usually definitely in double digits for match 10 to 30, it just depends.
What's your next precision match?
It's Altus in a couple weeks.
Are you shooting Alabama?
Yep.
I'll see you at Alabama then.
I will be there.
Yep.
I try to get revenge on that place for some reason. It just always kicks me in the teeth. Can't figure it out. That place has been my nemesis for 2 years, so we will try again.
I have faith.
Yeah, that's the problem. I go in confident, I leave crying.
Oh, you need to just like
yeah,
get back to your spirit of Pig River.
Yeah, that's right.
Last year, so you did very well there.
Yeah, I did. I'm gonna go back there again this year too, hopefully.
Are you?
Yeah.
Greg, do we have any lives?
I believe Greg.
Hunter's HD Gold said, good evening.
Good evening.
Adam said, Killer Bunny at it again.
Yep, that Thunder Bunny, that's what they're calling her.
Thunder Bunny.
That's funny. I haven't heard that.
See, Rusty said he thought NRL 22 was cheap until he put $2,000 into a open class rifle and started buying COVID priced ammo.
Yeah, really. Any other lives, or is that all?
That's all I got now.
Cool. Very Very cool. Well, how, with you doing both sports and going back and forth, how are you able to mentally separate three gun and precision rifle? Because they really are, like, I came from three gun and went to precision rifle, and it was totally a different mindset, right? I went in and was like, oh, I gotta go fast. And then I was like, no, I need to slow down, because you don't get a mulligan on misses in precision rifle.
Right.
Whereas three gun match, you can mag dump as much as you want, as long as you have enough ammo.
Right.
So how do you, you know, it goes down to, like, if you, I remember thinking, wait, if I don't finish the stage, I don't get any FTEs. Because in three gun, it was like, it didn't matter if you hit it or not. If you were close on time, you wanted to, like, send something in the general vicinity, so you didn't
Right.
get an FTE, which
Yeah.
was a huge penalty. So how do you go back and forth?
I don't know. Freaking, I just shot for a really long time, and honestly, when I'm shooting that, I'm not. I focus on the stage briefs and really walking the stages. But after that, when you actually go to shoot, you're really not thinking about much. As far as mindset, that's a tricky question, because everybody kind of interprets that differently. I guess I really just try to focus on really trying to stay focused for the entirety of the match. Like a 2-day match, or in three gun, there's a lot of 3-day matches, or the AG Cup is a 3-day match. It's really just trying to stay mentally sharp for the duration of the match. That's kind of the trick. But as far as mindset, I mean, really, whether it's pistol, three gun, or PRS, I really try to do them all. Just kind of the same, stay focused and try to stay sharp throughout the match. It's really it. I don't really go in with I don't know, like a separate mindset. You know what I mean? It was a pretty easy transition for me. If it's got a scope, a trigger, when it's a rifle, I learned it fairly quickly. The difference was pace and cadence. I mean, in three gun, it's you're running, you're screaming, you're shooting fast, trying to run hard. Much more athleticism involved, and it took me a while to slow down and slow the pace down, and really just try to take deep breaths and make every shot count. Really, for PRS, and honestly, I'm still trying to figure that part out. Make sure you're on there and you're going to hit the target before you take the shot. Sometimes you can easily get in a hurry and just take a shot that you didn't intend on taking.
Yeah, my biggest thing going from three gun to PRS was the trigger pull.
Yeah.
Because I used to actually sometimes dry fire and practice and stuff, and I don't really do much of that anymore. But I get in there on the rifle, and
yeah.
I remember my first match. Gina was sitting there just yelling at me, "You did it again!" I'm like, I'm sorry.
If you look around the range in a PRS match or anywhere, I mean, I see a lot of people. They got that finger straight. They close the bolt. That finger straight. They're on the target. You just see that thing, wham! And it's you see it much. But I mean, even in three gun, like I'm a trigger slapper. Like I'll slap the trigger all the time. But when it's time to take a precise shot, I'll rest my finger on the trigger pad, and prep it, and kind of take the time to break it correctly. And that needs to be every time in precision rifle, and it's none of us are perfect at it. We slap it sometimes, and I guess we just do what we can to try to minimize that.
Yeah, I think the one thing I practiced a lot was the skill stage when I was first getting into it, because I built a barricade that size, and I had a target that distance at that range that I was dry firing at.
Yeah.
And I just realized that I could probably shoot the skill stage just going like that and still hit it.
Yeah.
So for some reason, when I shoot the skill stage, like, I don't know how I actually hit the targets, how bad I am on the trigger. But then, when I get to a pro and long range stage, it's, just kind of creep back real slow.
All right. So the trick is to do that every time. Yeah.
Except for do that without my buffering before pulling the trigger to get the time on that.
Trick is to dry fire enough to where it's second nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I dry fired a couple times last year.
How much do you dry fire, Tucker?
I dry fired a lot. I mean, especially with like pistol and stuff, like I dry fired a ton. I mean, almost every day in the pistol game, you know what I mean? And three gun, like the manipulation of the guns and stuff like that. But honestly, for PRS, I mean, I'll do it before a match, like to check out a prop or something. Like when I get to the match, I'll jump on I'll shoot a few, dope out the rifle, check zero, that kind of thing. And then if there's like a tricky prop, I'll shoot it. But for the most part, I'll dry fire in a few of those props just to kind of get the position I think I'm going to want for the, for the match the next day, but not very much anymore. I have a bad elbow. I need surgery on it. Have for a long time, and I can't really dry fire a pistol on 3-gun anymore. I got to save those reps for the match. But I definitely put some time in dry fire in early days, and I still do a little, but I mean almost none. What's that?
I used to dry fire a lot during the pistol days. Just it's so much easier than dry firing for PRS. Like there's actually still a target on so I haven't shot a pistol match in about 2 years.
Yeah.
But there's still a little mini USPSA IPSC that's like this big that somebody taped to my garage door like probably 4 years ago, and that's still there. And I might have confiscated one of those cool little cert pistols.
I still got it on my garage.
Nice. Dude, I for a while I just had that cert pistol sitting there, and I just like commercial break on the TV show, bing 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 bing, and just kind of get into the movement of things. But now to dig the rifle out of the safe, put in the dry fire adapter. I got everything set up. It's just rifles are big and heavy.
Yeah, they're big and heavy, and you got to have a prop or two or something you can train on. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't dry fire as much anymore, but I shoot a lot of live fire. I mean, I blow through some ammo and barrels, and I do practice a lot on the range and stuff like that. I honestly don't have a good setup here at the house. I live in a neighborhood. You know what I mean? I don't live out in the woods somewhere where I can just go out back and throw a big rifle around. So I do go to the range a lot. I have a range 30 minutes from my house with a full PRS deal, so I practice there now. So I'm pretty fortunate to have that.
That is nice. So Stephen King says that Tucker definitely works his ass off, and it shows. And he told me to ask you about running guns.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. That's his thing, man. That's a tactical thing. I did one. It was him and another buddy of mine, Pat. They basically forced me to do it, and I didn't want to. I don't know. It was like 7 or 8 mile run with 6 or 7 stages mixed in there, and I actually did pretty well. But that was a one and go for me. I'm too old, man. I just turned 40. I'm not doing that. Although I think he's a little older than me.
You move pretty good for being 40.
Yeah.
You fold up into weird positions, all that stuff.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to stay somewhat fit and do all that crap,
Says the ballerina.
I think Tucker can get down better than I can, faster for sure.
Oh.
It is funny watching how in any shooting sport, body type and flexibility and everything like that plays so much into how you shoot. Because like you got guys that are, really big, fat guys that are just really good shooters. And, somehow, even in 3-gun, you'll have this guy and he doesn't move that fast, but he somehow wins the 3-gun match when everyone else is, going twice as fast as him. And then, you got, people like Jim that are like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do a split right here and shoot this Texas Star with a shotgun underneath this wall here. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to lay down to get there.
There's a lot to be said for good marksmanship fundamentals. You know what I mean? A lot of this comes back to a good base and marksmanship fundamentals, and a lot of people kind of forget. When I was practicing a lot, I spent a lot of time just trying to get those dialed in to where, it's just kind of second nature. You don't think about it. And, all these games kind of rely on similar, if not the same fundamentals,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think fundamentals is definitely the core of our game. I mean,
yeah,
it is a game, but there are fundamentals that are there, and you can tell when people have them. I mean, you talk about Allison Zane, she's got fundamentals. If you watch her do positional stuff, she knows exactly where to put her body behind that rifle. She just like pops into position with that natural point of aim, and it makes a huge difference. So
that's a real thing. Yeah. And I think I heard her on a podcast. I think she dry fires a ton right now. She's really working hard, and it's paying off for her. She's crushing it.
Yep. I want to be 15 again.
Yeah. I'll go back to 25 and I'll just stay there.
I was about to say, maybe I don't want to go through college again. Maybe I want to be 22 again.
I like the money too,
Nice.
So when we were at Frontline, I gave you a nickname. Do you remember the nickname?
I do. I'm not gonna say it though. You gotta say it.
The wind whisperer.
Yeah.
Because we had some weird winds going on, and you are Schmidt and I am Seymour. So I went right after you every time, and it was great.
Yeah.
I'm
Some days
like,
are others though, man. I'm not always the wind whisperer. Some days are good though. You know what I mean? And I shot pretty well that match, and I appreciate it. I'm still fairly new to the wind game at extra long distances, but I've been shooting long range with small rifles for a long time in 3 gun, so try to watch it.
well, and it wasn't just that you were coming off of your stage and telling me exactly what the wind was. I mean, you did some, but it was more like even before you went up, before anybody shot, when we got there, you'd be looking at it and you'd be like, hey Jen, look at the such and such grass, you see that? Or you know what I mean, you were pointing out things to me to like help my eye get more keen and seeing things that were out there, because that was kind of something I was trying to learn. So you really kind of helped, with looking through the glass and being like, hey, look at that car, you see the grass just to the left of it, watch it, and things like that. That were just helpful, instead of just going like point eight, you know.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people kind of forget that point eight on my gun and point eight on your gun are going to be two different things, and it's hard, now, especially with 90-second par times. Pretty much, at least all the East Coast matches. I know out west they still run a little bit longer par times because the winds are a little higher and stuff. But I mean, the idea, and I'm not perfect at it, is just to see the wind change before you shoot, right? So you can make the correction as you're shooting before you miss one, and then make a correction. So I mean, I'm still working on that, and really, if you can pick up those indicators before you shoot, then you kind of know what to look for while you're behind the rifle scope, before you take the shot.
Yeah, I know, Greg, you've had the pleasure of going right after Tucker in a match also.
I'll say I also did, and I probably had my best wind calls that match, going right after the wind whisper. But it was really cool. Just it started off with like a first stage. Like you came off, and I'm just like, I just looked like a lost, confused puppy, and you kind of was like, what? That wind is going that way, right? And I asked you for a couple of calls, and then like I feel like by the end of the match, I was like, hey, I'm gonna hold this. Does this sound better? Because I'm still, especially at that time, really new to the PRS scene and shooting this far. Before I got into PRS, I fired 2 shots over 100 yards.
Right.
My entire life. Like I shot tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of rounds before getting into it, but never passed 100 yards.
Right.
So, it was kind of cool to, have somebody to kind of check my homework before I turned it into the teacher. So
yeah, that's really a better way to do it too. You know what I mean? I mean, pretty much everybody will give you a wind call, right? But it's much better for you to try to do your due diligence before anybody and just kind of ask them. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, I'm really thinking I see this and this. You think this is a good, good strategy or whatever it is? And that's definitely a better way to approach it than just, hey, what'd you hold? What'd you hold? You know what I mean? It's okay. People will tell you, but it's just better to try to figure it out for yourself. So, maybe when somebody's not in front of you that you feel is a better shooter, then you can kind of make those decisions for yourself,
Yeah. So like when you walk up to a stage, let's say we're about to go and shoot some 1,200 yard stage, and you get under glass and you find your targets. What are the first things that you look at to get your preliminary wind call? Do you go straight to glass? Do you hold up your kestrel? Do you spit in the wind and see who you hit? Or do you do the Greg trick?
Yeah. I've been known I've been known to do that trick as well. But usually, right, you want to locate the targets first, and I'll find them 4 or 5 times in a row. Looking in the sequence what you're going to shoot them, so you kind of don't have to second guess yourself. And if it's a field type environment, you need to find indicators out there, targets. It's real easy to lose a lot of time in just trying to locate targets, and to have those indicators, whether it's a brush or a building or a tower or anything, find targets first, and then you start looking at wind. If there's a big degree shift from target to target, a lot of times you're going to have obviously different wind holds, wind directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll chart that out on my dope card. I usually put a max and a minimum, and then like a degree shift on there, and really just glass almost up until you shoot. You know what I mean? More time you spend looking, the more time you study, the usually the better you do on the test, right? So that's kind of the plan going.
Yep. So I know always, I'll do that. I will literally, walk through the stage like 10 times in a row. Do you ever draw yourself maps if it's a really hard one?
I shot a team sniper match one time with a buddy of mine, Tommy, and that was the only time I really like drew actual dope cards, like little tree, little circle, that kind of thing. But usually I just target 1 2 3 4 5 or A B C D E, and just kind of put the numbers in the dope. Usually I'm glassing it up, even if I'm first shooter, like as soon as I'm done on the other stage, I'll come over and start trying to find targets, so I have ample time to try to come up with a stage plan.
I want to say probably 3 times so far I've had a stage that I'm like, something that was really not logical the way that it was presented, or it didn't look like it was, sometimes, and I'm sure to people that are like super experienced at this, they're like, oh, this effing noob, he doesn't know what he's looking at. But sometimes it'll be like 400, 500, and 600, but like they're different targets, and like the 400's this way and then the 600's over here, and it's not like you're shooting out in a troop line or anything. So
right.
And it's like, I don't know, I've had a couple where I just could not. I was scared I was going to forget something, and I drew a map. And generally, after I drew the map, I remembered.
Well, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody got their own routine, their own technique. I mean, if whatever it is that works for you, man, I don't have the answers to everybody. I mean, I know what kind of works for me, and everybody's different. I mean, dude, if that's going to help you find targets quicker, do whatever helps you. You know what I mean? You'd be crazy not to.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I've always loved about you, Tucker, is like when you're helping newer shooters, you don't say like, you need to do it like this. I mean, there are some people that are like, no, you need to do it like this. Like I've heard you multiple times talking to people, and you're like, hey man, like this is how I do it. It works for me. Like it's real laid back. It's not like you're telling somebody what to do, but you give advice on what works for you. And you always say, I mean, you do it how is best for you, but that's what works for me. And I think that's good for helping new shooters, to give them the advice, but also kind of give them that permission, if you can say that, to still adapt it to themselves. Like I'm going to do things very differently than y'all. I don't have the upper body strength that y'all have. So I have to do things. It's more important, I think, for me to have support on the rear of my rifle. I'm going to fold up and plop it on, plop my buttstock on my knee if I can, or something like that, or use a pump pillow, because I need that stability. I don't have the upper body strength. But I've always appreciated that about you, that you always include that when you're trying to help a new shooter. You don't just kind of try and force your way on people.
Let's go back to this different strokes for different folks. And like Miss Ballerina here, I'm going to plop my buttstock on my knee. My rifle would be 3 feet away from my shoulder if I put my buttstock on my knee, no matter how hard I tried to bend.
You gotta do some yoga, Greg. I put my buttstock on my knee sometimes.
I mean, I do when I'm, if I'm standing here waiting for the stage to start, holding the rifle like this.
No, you just fold up and you just put your knee right there, and then put buttstock on it, and
that's where it goes. Yeah.
I can't even get my knee into the camera to show you guys how far away I am.
Like a built-in tripod.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's body's different. They're, different sizes, shapes, strength, stature. I mean, all those things are going to be different. So to think that there'd be one best way for everybody, I mean, it'd be great if there was. It'd be a lot easier for all of us, but that's just not the way it works. Some people like 2 bags or 1 bag and a tripod. I mean, pretty much everybody I know starts out with 16 different bags and pillows, and you play with them. At least that's what I did, and you play with them all. And usually, as time goes on, you whittle down to, 1 bag, maybe 2 at the most that you want to lug around throughout the duration of the match. And, but yeah, whatever makes you comfortable is really what you need to go with. I mean, in the short.
Let's say, what's your, if you were to take, if you only had room to bring 1 bag to a match, what would it be?
Wee bad.
I know what he's going to say, but go ahead.
It's a wee bad tater tot.
Say that. I remember that one from the Snow Lake house, playing with it on the kitchen table.
Yeah, so that's
the Whiskey Charlie.
Oh no, that is the Whiskey Charlie.
I got him right here. Yeah. So it's the same thing, right? So the whiskey, I don't know if, yeah, you can see that. So that's the old Whiskey Charlie size. And then the tater tot is the same thing. It's just a little bit bigger. It's a lot heavier bag, but sometimes, every once in a while, if you're on like a big concave obstacle, like a tire or a covert or something, and you put this out, I was just having a little problem with the mag hitting. Mm-hmm. So it's it up just that extra little bit. And it's a lot heavier. Unfortunately, TSA, I mean, I don't know what the weight is, but it's got to be at least 5 or 6 more pounds. So you got to be a little more creative now when you pack going on an airplane. So usually this goes in my backpack.
Yeah, mine goes in my backpack, and I just pull it out and put it in the bin separate from the bag, because otherwise they'll search my whole bag. But if you just pull it out, then they play with it and they look at me real crazy, like, what is this for? And I'm like, it's a shooting bag. And then they look at the bag and they look at me again like I'm crazy. And
on the screen, completely black, and you know, sometimes I still forget, but yeah, I try to remember to bring it out, and every time they'll stop you and, what is this? But yeah, you get your little down. It's pretty easy to fix.
The last time when I flew to the finale, I was like pulling it out of my bag, and the lady was like, you don't have to take anything out of your bag. You can leave it in there. I was like, no, you're going to want to play with this. And she's like, I mean, it's not necessary. I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, because I promise you, you're going to want to play with it. And they looked at me, it went through the machine, and they pulled it. I was like, I told you, y'all are going to want to play with it every time.
Yeah. And
I wonder what it looks like through the machine.
A bag of cocaine.
Just black.
That's a lot of cocaine.
They can't see through it is the problem.
Right.
So they can't tell what's in it. I tore mine at the finale on the helicopter, like a gash like that. I didn't realize it until we walked to the next stage, and I was like, where's all this sand coming from? And I was like, oh, from my bag. And it was like a tear like this in it. And so before I flew home, I just emptied all the sand out of it. So it made nothing. But
well, I'll give you some extra weight to get all those prizes home, I guess.
I love those. I couldn't fly with my prizes because I got a thing of primers.
Yeah, how'd you get them? I wanted primers. I couldn't get them home.
Well, Mary Olivier still has them, and so I need to reach out to her. And
you are not getting those back.
I know. I need to be like, I need my primers now.
Yeah. The hot commodity for sure.
It is. I know for sure. Everybody wants primers at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of trust there. Give someone a whole brick of primers.
I know.
Yeah, my buddy was all.
So where do you? Go ahead.
I was just saying, my buddy was all excited yesterday because he spent $200 on 5,000 primers, and when they got to him, it was 500 primers.
Oh my!
That's a lot.
Wow, that's kind of sad, actually.
Well,
where do you see the future of both sports that you do so much, 3-gun and precision rifle? Like, where do you see each of them going?
The 3-gun was like on top of I mean, it was really great for a long time, and I don't know exactly what the thing was that kind of changed the course of it, and it's still around, and it's probably going to be around forever, obviously, and you'll have your bigger matches that are still doing fine, but I'm hoping they kind of get it together. It seemed like when 3-Gun Nation was around, it was a good governing body, the same rules everywhere. They had good organization, sponsor representation, and a little prize money on the line, the Pro Series, and that's when they were really doing well. I don't know what happened with 3-Gun Nation. There was some internal stuff. I don't really know what it was, but they kind of went by the wayside, and it seemed like 3-Gun as like a major thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a big production anymore, and you're still gonna have those outlaw matches that are doing fine, and I'll still go shoot them, and there's a lot of people that do. Hopefully they get maybe a centralized governing body that'll maybe help that out, and kind of like PRS is doing with precision rifle, and I think that would help. But so hopefully that would be great. But PRS seems to be doing things right. I think they have a few too many matches right now. That's kind of what 3-Gun did, and kind of watered down all the matches. It seems like, I don't know, there's one every weekend, and you just can't sustain sponsorships. In my opinion, it's strictly my opinion, but it's a lot of strain on these smaller companies that we're leaning on so much for sponsorship and to help support us. And I think
that's hard.
Yeah, I think fewer matches in the long run would be a better deal. But I think what Tom's doing with the AG Cup is definitely bringing some attention to the Precision Rifle Series, and bringing some money for the top guys. You know, I mean, you can only take so many guns and so many, you know, bags and primers and scopes and all that thing off prize tables. It's great. Don't get me wrong. Everybody appreciates it. But when you get to a certain level and you're beating the guys you want to beat, it's nice to maybe fight against the best for some money. And I think Tom from Armageddon Gear is doing a really good job with trying to organize all that. So hopefully that'll blow up and kind of turn into a professional deal. But it's gonna be hard with no ammo.
Yeah.
So this brings me to two other points. One of them is a live that I forgot to read earlier. Brian from Hunters HC Gold said that he's trying to get into sponsoring more precision rifle matches. So if you are a match director, reach out to him, and he'd love to help you guys out. And if you haven't tried wearing their glasses while you shoot precision rifle, you definitely should. It is awesome. I can actually see stuff. I'm blind as a bat, and like the kind of HD lens helps out a ton.
Yeah, and Brian, I actually know him a little bit, and one of the nicest guys. I mean, he's helped. I can't how many pistol or 3-gun shooters around that are. You can't imagine how many people are wearing these glasses now. A couple years ago, nobody had them, and now, like, I would say probably 60 to 70% of people are wearing them. I mean, they speak for themselves, and it would be. I would imagine at some point, if something ever happens, everybody in precision rifle is gonna have to wear glasses if there's ever an accident. It'd be nice to get them on people before that's actually an issue. So, but yeah, Brian's a great guy to work with, and if you can't find him, you can find me, and we can put you in touch.
Did you have a second part of a question, Greg, or was that it? You said that leads me to 2 questions, and then you said one, and you didn't say.
There was that one.
He's good.
there was that one. There was something else. What were we just talking about?
All right. Well, think of it in a minute.
I'll think of it. I'll get back to you. I'll call back to you later.
We were talking about where the sport was going, if that helps you.
Well, you brought up the AG Cup.
Right.
And so we were going to talk about that also. And yeah. So you were a finalist in the 2020 AG Cup. You made it to day 3.
I did. It was a really bumpy road for me. The first stage, I think I dropped 1, 2. It was fine. It was a tough match. I was stoked to just, get to the first stage. I always, after all these years and matches I've shot, I still get these jitters, on the first stage, a lot of adrenaline. And 3-gun, it doesn't matter so much. But in this format, you really have to hold the rifle still. So, my bones and adrenaline's pumping. I always struggle on the first stage or 2, even today. But so yeah, I was happy with an 8 or 9 on the first stage. And the second stage, I got a 1, I think. I couldn't see anything. I did everything I could possibly do to try to find where the bullets were going. And I asked the guy, hey, where were those going? And he's like, oh, you're about a 0.5 mil low. So I went over to the zero range, checked the zero. I mean, I could not have shot a better group. I mean, right where it was supposed to be. So I was like, okay, the gun's good. I don't know what happened. Let's go shoot the next stage. So the third stage, I got a 0. I'm like, okay, something's going on. So I asked the RO, where was it? And he's like, well, you're about 0.7 low. And so I'm like, okay, I go over there and shoot. And I just had a tracking issue on my scope. I guess I banged it or it didn't work. So anyways, after that, I swapped scopes. And then I shot lights out for the rest of the day. Really good for me. I was super excited. But, I was just chalking it up to a good practice at a tough match at that point. Because, I dropped 19 out of 20 points in 2 stages. And somehow, I don't know, a lot of things changed. Like, so there was a couple ties. So they took past 25 going into day 2. And I think Shannon was in the press, decided not to shoot for whatever reason. And so I got into day 2. I shot really well day 2. I think I tied for 7th with like 5 or 6 other people, and made it to day 3. And so I was pretty excited about that. And my gun was still grouping great, shooting good. And first stage, I was a little bit nervous, dropped like, I don't know, 4 or 5 points, which I was super pissed at myself because it was not a really hard stage. It was tank traps, 400 or 500 yards, pretty small targets, but I was confident. And so kind of shook the nerves off after that and shot well. Oops, my seat just dropped. Shot pretty well for the next. I think I cleaned the next one, dropped 1 or 2, and then cleaned another one. I was shooting to what I felt was pretty good for myself, and then all of a sudden I just couldn't hit anything. And a lot of people could. We shot either 4 or 6 stages in a row at like 1,000 yards, and the Mirage was just pumping. It was terrible. It was hard to see impacts. It was hard to see misses, and so a lot of us were struggling. Crazy crazily so. I mean, for the caliber of shooters that was there, it was crazy to see 2s, 3s, and 0s multiple times. But so yeah, I got to the last stage at the KYL rack, and I hit 1, 2, 3, miss. I'm like, what the heck? And then I moved the other bench, hit, miss. I'm like, oh my god. So at that point, I knew like maybe something was fishy. And I was shooting 6 Creed. I shot maybe 400 rounds that weekend. So I got home and I zeroed my gun and I shot a small saucer sized group at 100 yards. And I was like, well, it happens. But you know, that might have happened on the last stage because I mean, it was very, very tough conditions, very tough mirage, tough targets, tough wind. I mean, it was a tough match, but I was pretty excited to make it to day 3 for sure.
I'm just going to say that it seemed like you were doing really well when I was over there watching, but then when I had to go somewhere else and film, and I'd come back and be like, how'd you do, Tuck? And you're like, I didn't do so good on that one.
Yeah, that may be it. Maybe
I was like your good luck charm. I'm not a rabbit, but I can be a rabbit's foot.
You know, maybe we'll have to go to more then because I need all the luck I can get. But it was honestly like it was a really cool experience to shoot against a lot of those guys all in the same match, and it would definitely be cool to do more of that. So you know, I'll be back this year to go for it again. We'll see.
It was definitely drama filled with the cutoffs and who was getting in when, and you had kind of a nail biter that second day. Wasn't it the second day going into the third or first day?
Yeah. So I didn't look at that thing at all day.
You had us all holding our breath. We were all like,
yeah, I didn't look at that board at all the first day because you know, I dropped all those points on stages 2 and 3, and I was just basically kind of having fun, and I did, and I shot well, cool. But so day 2, I was kind of, you know, starting fresh because the scores didn't carry over. I mean, the pressure was back on, and so I paid attention to that board all day. Man, my knees were like shaking for the last, you know, 2 or 3 stages. There's a ton of money on the line, and you're shooting against the best guys in the country or the world. And I just remember that last stage, like I needed a 6 out of 8, and it was a pretty tough stage. There was some weekend. You shot off of a spool, and then you went to a flat spool, right-handed on one, left-handed on another, but you started far to near, and then near to far. So it was somewhat confusing. I got on there, and of course I shot the wrong target. The very first shot, I wasted a shot.
And if you drew a map.
What's that?
So if you drew a map.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I'll never forget that first shot. And I can't remember what the RO said, but it was like obvious that you hit, or maybe you said, oh, that's the wrong target or something. And we're all standing there and I'm like, oh my God, now I can only miss one more.
Well, there's, you know, depending on where I finished, let other people in, you know what I mean? So I mean, you could like hear a pin drop in that place. I just remember it being so quiet behind me. Nobody else was shooting, I don't think. It was just me.
Because you're the last shooter. Like right. You were the deciding factor for like 4 people.
Right. So I hear everybody go like, oh, I could like hear a grunt among the crowd. It was so funny. But, you know, luckily I picked up the next 7 and I ended up making it in. But the pressure on that in that moment is kind of why we do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I like. I like the adrenaline. I like the pressure, and I like to kind of hopefully thrive in that environment. Right. And that's kind of why I do it.
So how was just overall, I mean, we know kind of some of the differences. How was the AG Cup different than regular matches? Was it the pressure? Was it the money? Was it the cameras? Was it the format that made it, like, what was the biggest thing that was different?
Well, I think the first thing is the money, right? Like, I don't know who a lot of these guys are there. I mean, I know them, but I don't know what they do for a living, how much money they have. But if you know $90,000 doesn't change your life in a better way, I mean, you know, great. But I mean, it would change mine. I'd like to have that money. So I mean, right away, there's a lot of pressure on that, and you've got a lot of money in the game already, right? So it's $1,000 to enter the match, and it was, I don't remember, 150 or 250 for a year, and an extra 250 on top of your match fee for each qualifier that you shot. So I mean, you're invested in this thing, a few grand, and yeah, so everybody's there to win the money. Like, that's why we're doing it. So that's pressure alone. And then, you know, you're shooting against all the shooters. It's not a regular 2-day match when you have, you know, 5 to 20 top guys. Everybody there can win the match is kind of how I felt. And so it just was kind of a environment with pressure, right? It kind of builds the pressure there.
Yeah. it was an adventure. I was glad I got to be there and see it.
Yeah.
So are you shooting it again this year?
I will. Yeah, I haven't signed up for it yet. I'm a blue collar boy, so I gotta spend my money wisely. But yeah, I'll pay that before the first match and kind of try to go for it again. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more people this year because you get to watch it on TV. It kind of builds some excitement. So hopefully there's more people and we can have a better competition. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say I just went to go and look during that last conversation to see how many people were signed up so far, and I guess there hasn't been an AG Cup qualifier yet, so there's not a whole lot of people signed up yet. But hopefully it ends up being even a bigger field this year than last.
Well, yeah, this year. So last year you paid, I don't remember. It was either 175 or 250 bucks up front, right? And then 250 on top of your match fee for at least 3 qualifiers, and then $1,000 if you made it. This year you have to pay $1,000 up front, which is kind of like dang. And so that's whether you make it or not, you're paying $1,000, and then 250 for each of your qualifying matches. And then if you make it, it's only, I think, 250 or 300 bucks for the actual AG Cup match, is how I understand it. So that's probably why people are waiting until the matches come up. It's a little more money out of pocket up front.
Yeah, that's not a quick, like, yeah, let me go ahead and spend that too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I made that change. I mean, I guess that's good for them because they get more money because I don't think, I know it ended up costing Tom money to run that series.
Yeah. And it's understandable, right? Like, he doesn't want to spend, whatever, say $50,000 out of his pocket on the match. And don't get me wrong, Tom is a great dude and he gives back on par or better
so
than
much.
And we all appreciate it. But yeah, he shouldn't be spending a lot of his money. So, I mean, we get it. But yeah, it's a lot of money for us in the meantime. So yeah. I know myself, like, I'm going to trickle in before a match and, kind of get it.
So if you had a new shooter that wanted to get into PRS or into 3-gun,
yep,
what would your best advice be to them?
I'd say get, at least for PRS, get a pretty solid rifle, get a really good scope, and then I would say the best thing to do is kind of take a class. There's a lot of good shooters out here. Besides from just learning proper tips and techniques, they can teach you how to train properly. You know what I mean? And there's a lot to be said for that. Like, especially now with the ammo crisis, make every bullet you take in practice count. Like, every time you go to the range, it's like, well, I'm just going to go shoot, whatever stages. It's like, no, I'm going to go work on this. That's what I do. And people probably do it different, but I go to work on specific things, whether it was 3-gun, like I wouldn't bring all 3 guns and just smoke rounds all day. Like, I'd go there usually with 1 gun, maybe 2 if I had to sight something in or make sure it was working, and kind of work on specific tasks to train properly. So I think a class early in your kind of career or what have you will save you a lot of bad habits and probably save you some ammo along the way. And then, you'll find a mentor. Like, I found mentors my very first match. I didn't know what any of this gear was or what I needed. And my very first match I went to, everybody was so helpful, helping me. And I just try to kind of repay the favor to everybody that I bump into that asks for some kind of advice,
I think that's a big part of the game is we have to kind of all pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think no one has gotten into this game that didn't have someone that helped them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, legit.
Super willing to help. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't ever heard somebody, hey man, can I nope. Like, go find out somewhere else. Like, everybody's super willing to kind of bend over backwards to kind of help you where you need to be. And I think that's what continues to really play a part in helping the sport grow. And not just this one. I mean, all the action shooting sports, whether it's 3-gun or whatever it is. And so I think that's played a big part. And I think it will always continue to do so. So the community is big, and we are definitely willing to, kind of bend over backwards to help others get to where they want to go.
Yeah, that's 100% the truth. Like, I mean, literally the first match I met with you, you were helping me.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't have been able to get into this if it wasn't for Jen, because we shot 3-gun and USPSA together here locally all the time. And then she tricked me into trying this stuff out, and I got, immediately hooked, but she'd already been in it for almost a year. So she was able to help me out. And then, like, the first match I went to, Gina and Ryan Hay, like, top shooters in the sport, would, like, sitting there coaching me at my very first match. So it's just a really awesome community where everyone's willing to help.
Yep. And it's that way across the country, man. Like, everybody helps everybody. I don't think that's ever going to change.
I will say y'all are some of my favorites to shoot with though, because it's always fun. We always have a good time.
Why do it if you're fun, right? That's first priority.
Well, and it's just funny because y'all all are good shooters, but you don't get some people get so serious like at the stages that it's like, don't talk to them right now, and y'all just cut up the whole time. And
I'm not gonna lie, when I'm having a bad day, I'm a little frustrated, but I try to pretend like I'm not to everybody else.
you don't show it.
Yeah. I'm born and bred competitive, man. I grew up competing in life, and when I'm just crappy, it is miserable. But I try not to let it show, and try to still salvage the match and have some fun in the meantime, right?
Adam just said, sorry, I got like totally distracted from everything you just said. Adam just said the trick is to find a new competitor who has a stockpile of components and milk them dry in exchange for showing them the ropes. He's totally just kidding. He said joking, kind of.
Kind of.
How much will this class cost? Either $1,000 or 500 small rifle primers.
Bam.
For real.
Yeah.
What other lives do you have, Greg? Because there's a bunch on there.
There's a bunch. I'm trying to remember them from before. Corey admitted that he's the fat guy. Back when I was talking about like the fat people, and he's like, "Why are you talking smack on me?" And then he said that we got to fight, but he's still chickened out of our arm wrestling contest because he knows I'm going to beat him at that. So
Corey who?
Adamski.
Oh my God! If you're gonna arm wrestle him, I'm so watching that.
He's going down.
He's a pretty big.
My money's on Corey.
You just bought a house. You ain't got no money.
In his booty shorts. You can't flip an arm wrestling match, so just don't do it.
Let's see. Y'all, Prentice Wink said hi, and then I have a green gun and lots of other stuff.
Hi, Prentice. I saw somebody asked if you made Grandmaster.
Well, the scores aren't in yet, but I believe I did. Yeah, last weekend finally. I haven't been shooting. I still shoot a lot of USPSA matches, like majors and stuff, but the ones that qualify actually as a class. I mean, there's a lot of rules on there to qualify. But yeah, I think I did. They're not updated yet, so hopefully next Tuesday I'll know for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, pretty confident.
Sweet.
That was a long time running.
So that is a heck of an accomplishment there.
Yeah, I've been I don't know, 3 or 4 division master for a long time. I've been itching. So I've kind of stuck with open now and pistol as well. So I've really been working on that the past few years. So finally, I think broke through.
What kind of pistol do you shoot?
I shoot for Akai Custom Guns down in South Florida. So I shoot Akai guns.
Very nice guns.
Yeah, they are definitely nice.
Swanee wants to know who's the best person you've ever squatted with.
Definitely Jeremy Swanee. And you get music the whole time. You get all the antics and fun. You know what I mean? We shot together at NPA, man. We had a hell of a time out there. He's a good dude.
See, I've never gotten a squad with Swanee. That should change sometime.
Me and Swanee almost died in Wisconsin together.
At that point in time, are you guys like related or something after going through a match like that?
I don't know. It was rough. I thought we were going to die there for a minute, and then we were trying to hold on to the back of that vehicle. Anyway, it was good. It was fun.
Cold?
Huh?
Was it cold or something?
No, it was actually hot, and we had to walk like a mile with all of our gear. And I'm not going to speak for Swanee, but I'm out of shape, and so it was rough.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's worse, hot or cold. I think I'd rather be in the heat than the freezing cold, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about powder for 6mm Creedmoor. What powder and bullets?
6 Creed. I mean, there's a million bullets out there now that are pretty good. I mean, burgers, decacs. I mean, there's a bunch, right? Hornady. I mean, there's a million of them out there. But powder, I mean, the go-to that I know of is H4350 from Hodgdon. Of course, that's incredibly hard to find. Reloader 16 is a really good powder too. I use that a lot. Those are really the two that most people use that I know of. There's probably others, but.
So Swanee just corrected you, 2.75 miles.
Okay. It felt like 27.5 miles.
Yeah,
Also, Swanee said, let's talk about how you bullied him when you guys squatted together.
that must be Jen. That's not me.
He said he bullied me.
What? Now you did, Greg?
Let's talk about how he bullied me when we squatted together.
All I remember is him stealing my bag every time he wanted to shoot for like 8 stages in a row. I hope you got that by now, Mr. Swanee.
I think he knows a guy.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he probably does. Tucker, what personal shooting goals have you set for yourself for 2021?
Well, really, honestly, I haven't really thought about it, but obviously I'd like to win more, at least another 2-day match this year, and make it, back into the AG Cup and try to perform there is really what I'm shooting for this year.
That'd be awesome.
That was fun getting to watch you win Pig River.
Yeah, everybody wants to do that a few more times.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was like, that's my friend. I know him.
Well, and what's so funny is, like, you didn't shoot that match any different. You didn't act any different. I mean, I think you kind of were feeling the pressure the last couple stages. You kind of knew you had shot well.
Yeah.
But you didn't know how well. But, like, you didn't act any different. You didn't, like, tighten up and, clam up. Like, you were just same Tucker. Just, we had a great time, had fun, and
yeah, whether you see it or not, like, I feel the pressure, right? Like, I'm not immune to it like anybody is. I'm a pretty laid back guy, and I kind of, life's too short to be a pain in the ass. That's kind of what I like to live by. And but yeah, I knew Aaron was on my squad too, and I had a pretty good lead on him going into the last few stages, and I shot on that shaky pig. It's meant to be shaky. It's like on a rocking chair, and I dropped more than, I think, 3 or 4 on that one. So I knew, and I think he did well on that one. Brought the lead within 3 or 4. I think it was 4. And then we both either cleaned one or dropped one the next few stages. And our last stage, the wind was like, I mean, it was blowing hard the whole weekend. Not hard, 12 to 15 miles an hour, if I remember correctly. And I shot, and I hit like 2 or 3, and then I missed one, hit 2, missed 1, and then I missed another one. And I knew if I missed one more shot, that he was going to be tied and he beat me on the tiebreaker. And luckily I hit the last shot, and sure enough, he came behind me and cleaned the stage. So it was a good thing I didn't drop another shot. I mean, and we were separated. I think me and him were ahead of everybody else by, I don't know, 6 or 7 points, but we were only 1 point apart. So it came down to that last bullet.
That was awesome to watch.
Got lucky there.
Oh, where'd it go? So Tucker, what's the best cheesecake you've ever eaten, and why aren't you allowed to purchase them anymore?
Is that Kent or Hunter?
Yeah.
Who is
Kent?
I'm sorry, Kent. Okay, I do apologize. Please tell your wife I apologize for putting her on. So gosh, this is OG here. Kent's wife apparently makes some of the best cheesecakes in the United States. So actually, Kent made the first mistake because he was going to have a cheesecake for me when I got there to Tennessee. And I was super excited about it. I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And so I got there. He's like, oh, man, I didn't get it. What do you want? I was like, man, strawberry, cheesecake with strawberries on it. And he's like, well, get it. And apparently his wife stayed up late that night and made cheesecake. And the plan was he let me know the next morning, I think. And this is all by memory, Kent, so don't hang me if I get anything wrong. But he told me the next morning, she made a cheesecake. He's like, you better go by and get it. And I was like, I will. I'll get it. And I actually flew to that match in a buddy's plane. And so going home, there was a storm coming in or something along the way. So, and he was set on getting home. And, and on all the commotion, I forgot to get the cheesecake.
Oh,
and
no.
They are sure to not let me live this one down since his lovely wife stayed up all night, made that cheesecake, and I never picked it up. So I'm on the blacklist of the best cheesecakes in the country.
I'm going to say, I think you deserve to be blacklisted for that one.
Greg, I expect you to be on my side.
Well, you didn't give me any cheesecake, Tucker.
I didn't either. Now when I go back to A&M up there, I'm not going to have a cheesecake to eat.
I mean, like, come on, what's the worst thing that would have happened if you would have went back? Like, Kendall would have crashed his plane, you guys would have died and covered in cheesecake.
Yeah, or got stuck in Tennessee for an extra night, you know.
But you would have had cheesecake, so it would have been okay.
Kent says we still love you.
Who's that? Kent? Oh, I love you too, buddy. That was like a whole year since we finally made up. That was a long time coming.
Oh, this is why I love Tucker.
Damn, that feels good. Hopefully I'm off the blacklist. Maybe I can get that cheesecake this year in May.
Never know.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
Jan Rhino said, watch out for the Pig River, the field rats at Pig River.
That was not funny. Do you remember that, Tucker?
That was absolutely hilarious.
You don't remember that? Me screaming?
The really loud pitched like squeal of terror.
We're standing there and something like hit my foot and I looked down and it was a rat. It wasn't just a little field mouse. It was like a rat. It was a big, and Ryan grabbed it and got it and took it.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Unfortunately, yeah, I missed that whole ordeal. I didn't see any rats either.
Because then I told him he was my hero the whole rest of the weekend. I was like, oh my gosh, because he grabbed it. It like ran up my leg. Like literally, I was wearing my leggings and it ran up my leg a little bit.
Yeah, funny. I remember that. I didn't see it.
It was not okay with me at all.
Say, I forgot about that until now. I still remember the frogs. I remember the Porta-John frogs.
I have a thing with animals. At MPA, we got there and it was dark. And so I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom one more time before we get started. And so I go in the Porta-John and it's dark. So I turned the phone on in my cell phone so I could sort of see. So that's all the light that I had in this Porta-John. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden, you know, women, we have to pull our pants all the way down. We can't stand up and pee like y'all. So I'm sitting there with my bare leg and something fell on my leg and it was a frog that was up on the top of the Porta-John and it fell on my leg while I was in the Porta-John. And Steph Bostwick was outside the Porta-John waiting and I went, oh my gosh, like that. And she's like, are you okay in there, Jen?
Yeah. What happened?
I was like, there's a frog and it just landed on me.
I'm not going to lie. I have a healthy fear of Porta-Johns. Going in there and having to sit down, I always feel like something's going to come out of the abyss and grab a hold of me in a sensitive area. So I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous of that at all times, mostly as spiders, though.
I'll say, I'm pretty sure I've actually seen photos of you avoiding the Porta-John thanks to Greg Moore.
Yeah, he's the little sniper. I think he has a heat sinker on me or something. Every time I use the bathroom, he is sure to get a photo of it every time.
See, you're scared of the animals or the critters in the Porta-John. I'm much more scared because I have friends that are horrible people. I am always scared when I go in the Porta-John that someone's going to go tip it with me in it. And I would kill someone. I would get arrested because I would kill someone. But I am always so scared. You know, you see those videos where people go tip the Porta-John. I'm always like scared to death somebody's going to do that to me.
Do it when I have a gun because that will be a problem.
Yeah, that would be.
That's definitely over the line, even for me and my.
Yeah, it would not be okay. So that even after the frog landed on me in the Porta-John, I'm still not as scared of that as I am of someone coming up and tipping the Porta-John with me in it.
They wouldn't tip.
All right, so Jen, you're at a match with all of your friends, and the Porta-John gets tipped over while you're in it. When you get out of the Porta-John, what name do you yell? Who did it?
Probably Greg Cannon.
Really? Me? I generally carpool with you. I don't want to ride home with you stinking that bad. I got to deal with your like sweat and.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to ride home with that either. That's a good point.
You should be more scared of having to ride home with me because I'm going to kill you if somebody did that.
I could imagine.
I think I'd rather death over 8 hours of portage on stench.
If Turner was with us, I would think Turner would be the one that did it. But he doesn't shoot long range with us.
Wish he did.
I know. It is what it is. Anyway, that's all my critter stories from matches. It's just the mouse that ran up my leg and the frog that attacked me in the porta-john.
Now you get some new ones this year, I can imagine.
Oh my word. Do you have any more lives?
Mike Bell said, "You're from Augusta. You should be used to rats."
Dang, that's shots fired.
Well,
He also lives here.
yeah.
Oh, well,
He's
that's
here. He's actually more Waynesboro. He's more Burke County, so he really ought to be used to them.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Bell, come shoot a match again. You act like you're scared of guns.
probably ammo.
William Thomas said, "Be scared to ride with Tucker after he's ate broccoli." Is there a story there?
Not that I know of.
Tucker's like, I don't even know what he means.
There could be a story. There's been a lot of stories over the years, so I don't doubt it.
I just have 2 words as a response: blooming onion.
Mm.
Is that all on the lives?
That is all on the lives.
I got one more question. What's your favorite 3-gun match? And what's your favorite PRS match so far?
That is a tough question.
I know. I pick hard ones.
Man. You know, I guess for 3-gun, probably one of the favorites I had was FNH in West Virginia at the what's the name of that place? The famous place, Whittington Center. Is that what it is, or is that in Phoenix? Where is that?
No, I thought that's in out west.
That's out west. What's the one that's over in West Virginia? It's the one that Drew ran his match at last year. The War Rifles match.
I didn't get to go to war.
Well, whatever range that was had FNH 3-gun. They had it for a long time. I got to shoot it the last year they were running this, and they had 5 to 10 ROs on every stage. You didn't have to reset anything, and the stages were dope. And I remember that one being probably one of the favorites. PRS
Not having to reset. That sounds cool.
That is always cool. That's why a lot of people like PRS from 3-gun. instead of 7 minutes of shooting and 8 hours of pasting, it's 7 minutes of shooting and no pasting. So that's definitely cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I like PRS, because I don't have to paste.
A lot of work. I don't like doing it, but yeah, it's definitely nicer not to. And probably the PRS match is probably the AG Cup. I like 3-day matches. I wish they do those more, at least for like an alley type thing or in a really big match. And I like the more technical matches. It kind of evens the playing field. It's hard for everybody. If you drop 1 point, you're not going to drop 5 to 15 places from 1 point. I like it hard where the best guys are getting 6, 7, 8 often, and so that would probably be the 2.
I will say about pasting, I don't mind pasting if everyone's pasting.
Yeah.
If you're on Jen's squad, everybody will be pacing, or you will feel the wrath of Satan upon you.
Oh, I'm that guy. I've hung pasters around people's necks before that were sitting on their butts. I don't play that, man. It's sportsmanship. If you're old and you're trying and you get tired and you break, that's fine. But yeah, if you're young and healthy and you're sitting on your ass, I'm definitely gonna be the one to play.
Everybody should be able to take a turn of like not going, but when you don't pace the entire match and it's 105 degrees in Augusta, Georgia, and I'm dripping sweat everywhere and I'm out there pasting every time, and it's only me and one other person out there pasting and everyone else is under an umbrella with their feet up, I might lose my
No, that's good.
She will lose her shit. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a good practice to not be a pansy.
Yeah. And the guy that was out there helping me, it was a guy that's a little bit older. And after I kind of went off and was probably borderline inappropriate because I was really mad, the sun made me that way. He looked at me, he goes, "Man, I want to squad with you every time," because he had been out there pasting too. And
right.
He was frustrated, but it was too nice to say anything. And I was like, nope, I was the only chick out there and I'm out there pasting and all the dudes are under an umbrella. Come on.
Yeah, that's not good.
Nah.
Not good.
So I don't mind doing my part of working, but everybody's going to do it.
That's fair. That's what we're there to do, and that's really what it is.
My favorite matches, and I don't even remember which ones did it. In 3-gun, there were a couple matches that would do pasting like every other stage. Like, okay, these, like there's 20 shooters on the squad, so these 10, y'all are the pasters for this stage, and then the other 10 get to take it off and then flip on the next stage. So every other stage you were pasting, and it still was enough people to get it done. It was kind of cool. I was like,
There's in some pistol matches, sometimes, I mean, you set it up so like the bottom 3 shooters paste every time, and I mean that's really all. Well, 3-gun's a little different because you have a little more complication as far as target arrays, but in pistol matches, sometimes among a squad, we'll set it up so like the last 3 or 4 people reset every time, and then you really don't need all those people, especially if it's a major match with RO score and you're waiting on them to score anyways, and that works out well as long as everybody's on the same page. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Are there any more lives, Greg?
Checking now. I was actually typing an email about that. Mike Bell wants to know if Jen and Greg are both shooting the greatest match. Greg is.
I am not. I will be out of. I signed up for it and paid for it, but I'm not able to make it now with the date change. Something else has come up that weekend.
We had a new shooter saying that he's looking into shooting PRS. What's the first major match you guys would recommend to go and wear this year? And Adam already replied, the Gap Grind Pro-Am at K&M in Finger, Tennessee. I don't think there's anybody here that will argue that is not the absolute best first PRS match ever. I knew that was Jen and mine's first match.
Yep, that was my first match in 2017.
And it was mine in 2018 after this fool tricked me into it.
Yeah, obviously, if you're a new shooter, there's no better value than getting paired up with somebody that is a little more established in the sport, coaching you as you're shooting and helping you spot and giving you win calls. That's a great match to get started on for sure.
Yep. So if there's any regional matches close to you, go and shoot those beforehand. That's a great place to get started out. They're generally low key, cheaper. Obviously local or more local to you. But the Pro-Am, the Gap Grind at K&M, you will be paired with a pro shooter. The pro shooter will shoot before you. They will then stay on glass and they will coach you through every single stage. And it won't just be your pro. It'll be, be on a squad with probably 10 pros, and it's kind of that whole takes a village to raise them, because all the pros will basically spend the entire time helping out all of the amps and teaching you how to shoot. It is.
And they'll loan equipment. Like you could show up, like literally the first year that I showed up, I borrowed an AR-10. I had a bipod. I had a rear bag, not a very good one. And I had dope written on an index card that Joe Cayley did for me. And that's what I showed up. And the dope I had was every 50 yards, I think. So if it was in between, I had to like judge, well, I think it's this much, But the targets are generous also for the newer shooters, for the amateurs. And you don't have, you may not have as many position changes as the pros do. So you have more time to kind of concentrate on getting your trigger pulls, and your pro can help you during the course of fire, which is helpful.
Yep. And Jennifer also started a group to help out the amateurs of the Gap Grind. Once you actually get registered, it's one of those things where she wanted to keep it like specifically for new amateurs of the Gap Grind and nothing else, but she's got a Facebook group where people give advice and offer discount codes and all sorts of good stuff to kind of help you get ready for the match beforehand. So definitely, look into signing up for that. If you don't have somebody that you want to be your pro, they'll get one signed up. One will sign up and they'll kind of pair you together. I think last year they tried to do it somewhat local, so hopefully you have time to meet your pro beforehand. But if not, we got the group that'll help you get ready for the match as well.
Yep. Is that all for the lives?
That is all for the lives.
All right. Well, I think we're about at the point of winding this down to shout outs. We'll let you start. Huh?
I thought you were saying wine. I was like, ooh, wine time.
we'll let you start on shout outs.
All right, I have GSL suppressors. Makes my little 22 like super quiet, super awesome. Shooters and Sharpshooters of Augusta, our local indoor and outdoor range. PDC Custom, the most beautiful rifle chassis known to man. You got this beautiful lime green color if you want like boring black or tactical tan. So you can be that other guy with the beard and the camo pants and the tactical tan rifle. You can go for it, or you can go lime green. Shooters World Propellant. I've always said like they got a whole bunch in stock. They are finally starting to run low too, but there's another shipment showing up this month, and hopefully that'll get up the shelves and I can get more powder and everything. There's still some out there. It's definitely easier to find the market, but Hunter's HD Gold. I know we talked about those a good bit earlier, and Vortex, because apparently you're supposed to clean these things.
Apparently. Tucker, what you got?
I've been with Vortex Optics for a long time. Everybody's familiar with them. They have sponsored every match under the planet since I've been around. Federal Ammunition, those guys have been great supporters of the PRS and among all other shooting disciplines, 3-gun, pistol, 22, all kinds of things. They have been the ones supplying primers to a lot of people since the finale, so we definitely appreciate that. Curtis Custom Actions, MPA chassis, and now making pistols and a bunch of other accessories. GCP Rifles, my buddy Rick down in South Florida, spins barrels. Dude does a great job. That's right. Don't forget Ricky.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, that's right. Trigger Tech triggers. Obviously, that's a really good trigger. A lot of people are using them. I also shoot Iron City Rifle Works. They build ARs. They got some of the best bolts and best coatings in the game. Kai Custom Guns builds pistols. We Bad Gear for bags and shooting rests. Red Hill Tactical to get your holsters, and check out SI Targets to find your targets you need to outfit your range.
So
and Brian Gold, man, too. He makes some good glass. I think that's it.
You rattled that off like you do this every week. Now you're gonna watch me stumble over it, and I do it every week.
So you've only been doing this for what, like 14 years or something?
I've been doing this 6 years.
Long time.
Since January 2015. So that's 6 years now. I've been doing this it used to be on Wednesday nights. Now it's on Tuesday nights. Crazy. Anyway, my shout outs, I'm kind of paring down this year with everything going on in my crazy life right now and not quite shooting as much as I was. So I'm paring down a little bit, but thanks to GSL Suppressors for always supporting the show and sending us some suppressors so we can be civilized. Shooters of Augusta and Sharpshooters of Augusta here locally to me. HD Gold. Getting a new impact action. That should be coming soon. I'm excited about that. Anyway, that's going to be all my shout outs for this week. And that will be a wrap for episode 327. I just want to thank Tucker for coming on and spending 2 hours of your evening with us. I know you're getting old now and you're tired, so.
It was past my bedtime when we started, but no, thank you. I'll see you guys here in the future.
Yep, we'll definitely see you at Alabama.
Sounds good. We'll see you there.
All right. Good to see everybody.
See y'all.